So yesterday, Jordan Love was on Kay Adams' show, Up and Adams. And so I want to go over a few different things that Jordan Love had to say regarding Jaire Alexander, the Packers in the draft, as well as Aaron Rodgers. So I'm just going to play a few of these short audio clips from Up and Adams and then give my thoughts. Here's the first one here discussing Jaire Alexander.
Defensively, what's going on with Jaire? When's the last time you talked to that madman?
That's a great question. I'm not sure. I need to reach out to Ja, see what the deal is. But Ja, he's got his own world going on. I'm gonna let him handle his business and see what's going on. But that's my guy right there. He's definitely a player we need back. Just the play style he plays with and who he is on the field. I mean, that's a guy we need to have around. So we'll see what happens.
When you talk locker room fits with these draft prospects, 8 picks, like what's the locker room fit for Jaire? What would, like, if he leaves, what hole is that leaving?
I mean, locker room wise, he's a character. That's a guy that you never know what you're gonna get with Ja. He's always a guy that interacts with everybody on the team, and he jokes around, but he also has that serious side to him and a competitor. And obviously, the player on the field is a whole nother area that we would be losing if we didn't have him. So, talk about rookies, to have a rookie come in and play at the level. I'm not there yet. We'll see. We'll work these guys out and try and see. But, I'm hoping Josh's still there with us. We'll see. But that's my guy right there.
All right, so Jordan Love saying that Jaire's definitely a player we need back. And I don't think I'm surprised to hear Jordan Love say this. I think that Jaire, when healthy, is still a really good player. And Jaire's been with Jordan Love, for a while now in Green Bay. And so the question becomes, what is Brian Gutekunst thinking? What is the Packers front office thinking? And, Jordan Love's desire to have Jaire back, is that enough? I would guess no. I think if the Packers really are planning to trade him and move on from him, unless, Jordan came to them and made it super clear, I still don't know if Brian Gutekunst would say, okay, we're going to listen to you, just based on the history with Aaron Rodgers and Gutekunst's desire to sort of do what he thinks is best for the organization, which I think is wise. But with Jaire, if you could guarantee he was healthy, I would 100% want him back. And even going into the season without knowing if he's going to be healthy or not, you don't save that much money by moving on from Jaire. So that's why I wouldn't be opposed to keeping him, because if he stayed healthy, the Packers would be really solid at corner. They would just have a lot of depth and a lot of options, with also bringing in Nate Hobbs. But I do just sort of have a feeling that the Packers want to move on, and that they maybe feel that the time of the Packers and Jaire being together could be over. Now, we still haven't seen a trade go down. It doesn't seem like a team has offered what the Packers would think is enough to move on from Jaire, but just the fact that the Packers have been trying to trade him for a while now, I'm not sure it's going to work out here. I feel like they'll probably move on. That's my thoughts. Things could always change, and they could decide to keep him, but Love wants him around. I'm not surprised that that's the case. And then here we have from Jordan Love here, also on Up and Adams, discussing the Packers and potential draft picks. So here we go.
We talked back at Super Bowl, and one thing that really stuck out to me is just kind of how you handle yourself. Everyone talks about the poise you have, your former teammates, and like handling communication and all of that. The Packers have 8 picks. How do you, as a leader on this team, communicate to the powers that be that are doing their job what positions you're interested in? How do you communicate your thoughts on the draft?
Everybody's got, thoughts and opinions, and the Packers do a great job. We talk with Goody, the GM, and Matt, and we talk after the season, kind of, what directions we feel like we need to go in for next season. And then I kind of just let them do their thing. They're the pros at this, at going through the draft process, interviewing all these guys, and just figuring out who's going to be a good player fit, but also just a good locker room fit for the team. That's a huge part to it, is guys that can come in are ready to learn and ready to compete and be great teammates. So, I kind of let them handle their business. The draft is always a hectic period. You never know who you're going to get, what pick, what trades are going to happen. So I like to just sit back and take it all in and be ready to reach out to those guys after the fact.
So Jordan Love saying there he's going to let the Packers do his thing. He did say that they talked after the season and gave some thoughts and things like that. And I think around the NFL, when you look at different GMs and how they run things, I do think some take the input of the quarterback more seriously than others. I think that there are, some guys like Joe Burrow. This isn't specifically about the draft, but he was really pushing for, T. Higgins to stay around, even though in my mind, I think if you're the Bengals and you're paying Jamar Chase, whatever it is, about $40 million, and then T. Higgins a massive amount as well, I think it's too much at the receiver position there when you have Joe Burrow, who's an elite athlete there, elite quarterback. But I think he has a big say there. And we've just seen in Green Bay that even with Aaron Rodgers a few years back, before training camp that 1 year, made it clear that he felt like he wanted to have more input into decisions that affected his job. And the Packers have always been an organization, seemingly with Brian Gutekunst, since he's been around here as a GM, that I think they listen to some things that the players have to say. But at the end of the day, Brian Gutekunst is going to do what he sees best, even if it goes against, I think, what a quarterback may say. And I think it makes sense with Aaron Rodgers. When he was at the level he was at after being in Green Bay for so long, it made sense that he would have some kind of input, some kind of say. Jordan Love's not at that level yet. He's still only been starting for a couple seasons. But I think it's probably a good idea, not to factor too much of what the players have to say. You don't want them to be running things necessarily. Sometimes it could work out. Sometimes maybe it doesn't work out. But I definitely think that, getting input from your starting quarterback is probably a smart idea. And it sounds like they did that at least right after the season. But Jordan said he's going to let them do their thing. And then finally here, this is a last little excerpt I want to show from Up and Adams here. And I'll leave the full link to the interview down below if you want to watch the whole thing. But this is about Aaron Rodgers. He still hasn't made his decision. And so she talks to him about that here.
You play the Vikings and the Steelers this season. So if your old friend Aaron Rodgers stays in the National Football League, you will play him potentially. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, who knows what team he's going to end up on right now. So we'll see that. I would definitely love to play A-Rod. That would be cool to, obviously start my career with him being a backup to now playing against him. That would definitely be a pretty cool experience. But we'll see where he ends up. I know there's a lot of question marks around that. So I'm excited to see it for him.
Jordan, what if he doesn't play anymore? What if this is it?
We'll see. I'm not even going to speak on that. We'll see. I hope that's not the case.
Yeah.
Watching that man play, I definitely think he's got some more years in the tank. But that was my mentor coming to the league, so I hate to see him go out. But I mean, he's had a phenomenal career. Definitely a Hall of Famer. So we'll see. I don't think he's ready to end it though. We'll see.
I feel like you want to beat him before he goes.
I want to beat everybody.
That's what I heard. You play.
So I'm curious to see where Aaron Rodgers ends up. It feels like the Steelers are the most likely option if he does decide to come back. He could also retire. And it would be pretty entertaining to see a Jordan Love versus Aaron Rodgers game. I would like to see that, preferably not with Aaron Rodgers in a Vikings jersey. That's not something I don't want to watch Aaron Rodgers potentially beat the Packers, wearing a purple jersey. That would be something I just would rather, never have to see. But seeing Jordan Love versus A-Rod would be a very entertaining game, would be an exciting game. And based on what's come out, and I watched Aaron Rodgers on the Pat McAfee show yesterday sort of sorting things out, it does feel like the Steelers are the most likely option at this point. Things could always change, but I do hope Rodgers stays in the league at least one more year. It's always fun to watch him. But those are my thoughts on what Jordan Love had to say here. There's some more if you want to watch. I'll link the entire interview down below. But thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.